Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
And so this was our Patreon exclusive yesterday. It was definitely interesting information that we've been coming across during Cindy's channeling. And we want to thank our newest patrons that joined us this week.
Yes, a huge thank you to Listen Good, Michelle, Daria, Emily, Christopher, and Caverly. You guys keep us going. Thank you.
Absolutely. We couldn't do it without you guys. This is going to be a little bit of an update over on the weather side. Or we might say the Geo-Engineer-Ing side. This is Limerick, Ireland. The worst floods ever experienced in history is perhaps beginning over in this area. You know, this is just, it's a broken record. Storm Bert hits UK and Ireland. 60,000 Irish homes, businesses lose power. Flooding in Donegal, Ireland makes roads impassable. Train routes suspended in Scotland. Weather warnings issued in UK for wind, snow, and ice. And a status red warning in Cork and Galway, Ireland. As you can see, it's a broken record, and we're seeing it all over the world. We came to the realization that in Spain they had set a record for tearing down dams, and then they had, these amazing floods that just washed things away in a manner that nobody living there, unless you are maybe one of our family members, had any clue that was going to happen. And this is the reality. I think there's a lot of damage control going on right now. As you see, again, this is from Storm Bert. Everywhere we look, it's like this. And it does obviously bring up, for anybody that's ever heard of Tartaria, thoughts of mud flood. 5,000 vehicles stranded, 36 injured. This is Storm Caetano hitting France. And unseasonable winter episode. Unseasonable. What we're seeing is so unprecedented. Here you have power outages for over 250,000 homes. 5,000 vehicles stranded. 5,000 vehicles stranded. It's really wild. And the reality is, though, I think it's only unprecedented in maybe so many generations because there's this bigger systematic redo going on, and many people are waking up to this and really questioning things to an all new level. In South Sudan, you have severe flooding. It's displaced 379,000 people, cutting off roads, leaving many schools, health facilities inaccessible. Cholera is rising. Everywhere you look, each of the continents is finding it's self-challenged. And Western North Carolina, snow-covered, beautiful mountains. I did spend a winter in Clyde, and Clyde is, interesting enough, the future forecasters did a session in which they were talking about what they had remote viewed back in 2019, and the target was Clyde, North Carolina, tiny little town. I don't even think there's 800 people in Clyde. It's not much. Well, now I don't know who's in Clyde because it was hammered. Again, in the hurricane and the aftermath, it's just very challenging to live in a tent in these conditions. And the one thing that hit me about living there was it was really cold. It was really cold for being in the quote-unquote South. It's cold in the mountains. Absolutely. Very, very challenging. And so many people are doing it right now, literally in a tent. As you see here, FEMA confirms that they are not allowed to distribute money to survivors if they're receiving money from a GoFundMe page. Everybody in Western North Carolina that's been affected by Helene has a GoFundMe page right now. Well, yeah, many of them I'm sure do. And so you won't get any FEMA aid if that's the case, according to sources here. At the same time, it's been realized that it's basically more of a loan. It's not a gift, it's a loan. And yet there's gifts in the billions going out to other countries and other entities. It's a purposeful wake-up call in my mind. It's very purposeful. And now there's admissions again. You have countries that just talk openly about cloud seeding and causing rain, like Dubai, and here you see New Delhi, India, cloud seeding proposed as a solution for the world's most polluted city, New Delhi, India. It's fascinating too to go and look at photos from maybe the 1860s, 1870s of some of these cities which now hold tens of millions of people, more people than in New York City or LA or Chicago by a mile. And they were empty in 150, 170 years ago. Empty. Now, did the population explode that much so quick? And then why would you have these cities empty? There's a lot of empty cities around the world. At least that's what we see time and time again. If you're following people like My Lunch Break, Lucius Aurelian, John Levy, and others. What was the other one? My Melted World, I think, is another one. People are starting to wake up that there's a much, much bigger control system in play. And it's trying to keep itself under wraps, but it just can't, because, again, we're not in the Kali Yuga anymore. So knowledge, understanding of how things really are and how things really do get the way they are is progressing. And here you see more of this engineering. Yes, a lot of engineering. I mean, I see these X's all day long. Now, we had 3 days with perfectly blue skies, and it felt wonderful. It could have just been because of strong winds, and it didn't make any sense for them to do this. Perhaps that's the only thing I could think of, as we had a weather system going through. And for so long they tried to tell us that's not real. It's not real. It's a crazy CONS piracy theory, and yet you have pilots coming out in the open saying, no, I refused to hit that switch. Once we level off and we go to cruising altitude, I refuse to hit the switch, and they're now finding themselves losing their jobs and even going to court and being sued. Maybe even, who knows, they might get thrown in jail. These situations are happening more and more often as the world is waking up to the reality of exotic weaponry, like the CHEM trails. Well, the Space Preservation Act of 2001 called it exactly that, exotic weapons. That's exactly what it caused. Now, this is a bill. This is something you can go and look up, and I'll give you guys the link. Dennis Kucinich introduced the Space Preservation Act of 2001 to ban the weather-modifying weapons such as CHEM trails. Happy trails to you. Well, not if they're, again, filled with aluminum, barium, and other things, biological components too. I mean, this has been so out there. And here you go, HR2977, Space Preservation Act of 2001. Now it's talking about space in relation to altitude. Altitude, meaning upwards of 60 kilometers above the surface of the Earth and any celestial body in such space. Well, again, what other celestial bodies are up there? Well, how about the Black Knight satellite, the White Knight satellite, the fact that the moon doesn't make any sense, logically as well. And many people come to the understanding that the moon is really a base that is here to watch us. All this stuff is right on record, and you'll still get the little wiki. Do they realize how stupid they're being, or do they just think that we are that stupid? I think it's the latter. As you see, contrary to rumors of conspiracy theory, the Department of Defense first published the word chemtrails in 1990 as the title to a chemistry manual for new pilots attending the esteemed U.S. Air Force Academy. So we didn't do it. It was actually the DoD that coined the term chemtrails. eventually became a word used by civilian observers to describe the unusual jet contrails and lines in the sky. And again, 2001, U.S. Rep. Dennis Kucinich introduced HR2977, Space Preservation Act of 2001, which defines chemtrails as exotic weaponry. This is 34 minutes long. This is from the Internet Archive, and it goes into detail looking at the bill itself. I'll link it below for you guys. It's just, again, this is what the Kali Yuga is, which is darkness, not understanding what's going on. And when we get into the Bronze Age, then we know what's going on. It doesn't mean it automatically stops right away. Hey, we're in the Bronze Age, stop spraying. No. This is just an awakening is what it is. And here you have a very, very helpful goose that does love its owner.
I like that. They're working together. They're different, but they're doing their best. They're helping each other. I think that's what we need to do. There's a lot of people who are trying to spread truth out there, doing their best to get the truth out. We got to help them where we can.
Absolutely. And I wish that we could all look at things as wonderfully positive as such as the diversity that we see in this world. I would love to venture and explore China and Russia and Iran. I mean, Persia, the Persian Empire was an empire that was very expansive, and yet it's an area too that's covering up a lot of the ET interaction. And there's a reason why, besides the fact that Iran's not part of the Red Shield banking system. There's a reason why certain areas have been so ostracized and have seen nothing but nonstop war. It's to erase away the evidence of the real control system. Again, we couldn't do it without your support over on Patreon. You're invited to come join us for as little as $1 a month. $1 menu item per month, and again, exclusive videos and help to awaken the planet. Source, bless, and namaste.
Namaste.